I never thought my relationship with my parents would end like this. I never imagined that after decades of being the dutiful, responsible child, I would be discarded like I meant nothing to them. But life has a funny way of showing you people's true colors, and now, I'm sitting here wondering if I should just walk away from my family for good. Let me take you back to how it all started. The golden child and the afterthought. Growing up, it was always obvious that my younger brother, Ethan, was the favorite. My parents never explicitly said it, but they didn't have to. Their actions spoke louder than words. Ethan was the one who got everything handed to him on a silver platter. When we were kids, he got the newest gaming consoles while I got second-hand books. When I got my first job at 16, my parents made me start saving for my own college tuition. Meanwhile, Ethan didn't have to work a single day in his life before he graduated. I thought things would change as we got older, but they didn't. I put myself through college while Ethan partied through 4 years of expensive private school, fully funded by my parents. I worked 2 jobs to afford rent, while Ethan got a brand new car and a fully paid-off condo the moment he turned 22. I told myself that maybe, just maybe, my parents were just trying to help him because he needed it more. I figured that they saw me as the independent one, the responsible one, and assumed I could take care of myself. But the truth is, they never even considered that I might need their support too. The first red flag. A few months ago, my parents sat Ethan and me down for a family discussion about their will. They were getting older, and they wanted to make sure we knew their wishes ahead of time so there wouldn't be any confusion later. At first, I wasn't too concerned. I wasn't expecting some massive inheritance. I had worked hard to build my own life, and I wasn't relying on any handouts. But I still thought there would be some kind of fairness. I was wrong. They told us that they had decided to leave everything, to Ethan. Their house, their savings, their investments, their retirement funds. Every single thing they owned was going to him. I sat there in stunned silence. It wasn't even about the money. It was the principle. The sheer audacity of telling me, to my face, that after everything I had done for myself and for them, I wasn't even worth considering. When I finally found my voice, I asked them, why? My mom gave me the first excuse. Well, you're doing fine on your own, sweetheart. You don't need the money. Then my dad chimed in with, Ethan still needs some stability. He's had a harder time than you. I almost laughed. A harder time? Ethan, who had never worked a single day in his life. Who had been handed everything while I scraped by. But the worst part? Ethan just sat there, completely unfazed. He wasn't even surprised. Gaslighting and excuses. I tried to keep my emotions in check, but I couldn't just let this go without a fight. I told them that this wasn't about money, it was about fairness. About respect. About acknowledging that I was their child too. My mom sighed dramatically and said, "Oh, come on, don't make this about favoritism. You know we love you." My dad shook his head. "You've always been so independent. We figured you'd understand. It's not a big deal." Not a big deal. That's when I realized that no matter what I said, they had already made up their minds. In their eyes, I didn't matter enough to be included. They assumed I would just accept it because that's what I had done my entire life, put my head down and dealt with it. Not this time. The final blow. I took a deep breath and asked the question that had been burning in my mind. If I had struggled more, if I had needed you more, would you have treated me differently? My mom looked uncomfortable. It's not that simple. My dad cut in. It's just, Ethan is the one who's always needed us more. You never asked for anything. And there it was. Because I had worked hard. Because I had fought for every bit of success in my life. Because I hadn't needed them the way Ethan had, I wasn't worth considering. I stood up from the table, my hands shaking. "I hope Ethan takes good care of you in your old age," I said quietly. "Because I'm done." They called after me, but I walked out. Cutting them off. That was 3 months ago. Since then, I've barely spoken to them. My mom has called a few times, leaving voicemails that sound just concerned enough to make me feel guilty. My dad sent me an email saying he was disappointed in my reaction. Ethan, of course, has said nothing. I haven't responded to any of them. I don't know if I should. A part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh, if I should just accept that they made their choice and move on. But another part of me is seething. Not because I wanted their money, but because I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be valued, to be considered, to be treated like their child instead of an afterthought. And if they couldn't do that in life, why should I pretend to be a part of their family now? Where do I go from here? I've been debating whether to officially go no contact. Right now, I'm in limbo, ignoring their attempts to reach out but not outright cutting them off. But I don't know if I even want to fix things. I feel like I've spent my whole life proving that I was worth their attention. Now, I'm tired. If they don't see me as their child, why should I keep trying to be their daughter? Am I making the right decision? Am I being too emotional? Or is it time to finally walk away for good? What would you do if you were in my position? Update. My parents left everything to my brother, so I left them out of my life. It's been about 3 months since I walked out of that conversation with my parents, and a lot has happened since then. I never expected this situation to unravel the way it has, but here I am, sorting through the emotional wreckage of what was once my family. The first signs of guilt. After I stopped responding to their calls and messages, my parents escalated. My mom started leaving longer voicemails, sometimes crying, sometimes sounding irritated, and sometimes like she was trying to guilt-trip me. "Sweetheart, we didn't mean to hurt you. This has all been blown way out of proportion. I don't understand why you're acting like this. We're still your parents. Please, don't let money come between us. We love you." I almost laughed at that last one. Money isn't the problem. You made it clear where I stand in your priorities. Then, my dad sent me another email. This time, it was longer and had an almost business-like tone to it. Subject: let's talk. Op. Your mother and I are very disappointed in how you reacted to our estate planning. We never intended to make you feel left out, but the reality is that Ethan has needed more support, and we were simply trying to do what was best for both of you. We thought you'd understand, given how independent you are. This doesn't change the fact that you are our daughter, and we want to maintain a relationship with you. It would be good for all of us if we could sit down and discuss this in a rational manner, rather than shutting each other out. Let us know when you're ready to talk. Dad. It was such a them email, completely dismissing my feelings, minimizing the situation, and acting like I was the irrational one. There was no acknowledgement of their favoritism, no apology, nothing. I didn't respond. Ethan reaches out. Ethan had been silent throughout all of this, which didn't surprise me. He had never really needed to fight for anything in his life. Why would he start now? But about a month after I walked away, he finally texted me. "Ethan, Mom and Dad are really upset. Can you just talk to them?" I debated whether to ignore him too, but I was curious. Did he even realize how unfair this situation was? So I responded. "Me. Do you even understand why I'm upset?" Ethan. "Yeah, but it's just money. Why does it even matter to you?" That set me off. Me. "It's not about money, Ethan. It's about the fact that they've treated you like a prince your whole life and expected me to just accept being second place. This is just proof that they never saw me as equal to you." He took a while to respond, and when he did, his reply made my blood boil. "Ethan, I mean, you've always been fine. You didn't really need them the way I did." There it was. The core of it all. They had conditioned Ethan to believe that my struggles didn't count because I had managed to survive without their handouts. Meanwhile, he had been handed everything and still somehow saw himself as the one who needed more. I didn't bother responding after that. The breaking point. 2 weeks ago, things escalated even more. A family event was coming up, our mother's birthday. Normally, I'd fly in, spend the weekend with them, and celebrate together. But this year, I didn't even consider going. That's when the guilt-tripping from extended family started. My aunt called me. My cousin messaged me. Even my grandmother, who never gets involved in drama, sent me a handwritten note about how family is everything, and grudges only hurt those who hold them. They were all acting like I was the one destroying the family, like I was being unreasonable for drawing boundaries. The final straw? My dad left me a voicemail, and I'll never forget what he said. You need to stop this nonsense, Opie. If you're not at your mother's birthday, don't bother coming around at all anymore. That was it. That was all I needed to hear. They were willing to cut me off over this. Not Ethan, who had benefited from their favoritism his entire life. Not themselves, for creating this mess in the first place. Me. I blocked them. Where I stand now. It's been 2 weeks since I cut off all contact, and honestly, I feel lighter. For the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for scraps of affection. I'm not begging to be treated as an equal. I told myself that if they ever truly regretted their actions, if they ever genuinely apologized, I'd reconsider things. But until then, I refuse to be the only one trying to fix something that they broke. I won't be guilted back into a relationship where I'm nothing more than an afterthought. I won't be attending holidays, birthdays, or pretending like everything is fine just to keep the peace. And as for Ethan, I doubt he even cares. He's got the inheritance, the house, and our parents' unwavering support. What does he have to lose? But me? I've finally realized I have everything to gain by walking away. Final thoughts. I spent my whole life trying to earn my parents' approval, trying to be seen as equal to Ethan. But I've finally come to terms with something. I never had to prove my worth. They were just too blind to see it. Now, I get to build a life free from their judgment and manipulation. A life where I am enough. And honestly, that's worth more than any inheritance could ever be. Would you ever forgive them? Would you ever consider letting your family back in after something like this? Or do you think once favoritism is this deep, there's no fixing it?